the ability to check people trying to overthrow the regime.
So, breaking news from the New York Times, just kind of awesome military stuff that you'll love. The bombers that did this flew nonstop for 37 hours from their base in Missouri. So the bombers they had in Guam was just a total diversion.
All the way from Missouri. That's a long flight.
But so there's 4 pilots. Apparently inside a B-2 bomber, there's a bed and a toilet.
I was literally about to ask, do they have to wear a diaper or do they have?
No, it's insane. Like, actually,
yeah.
I bet they take drugs though. They have to focus drugs, like Adderall equivalents. Like you have to.
Or if they have
Jack,
like a team.
Jack's our military guy. Jack, come on, they got to take something, right, for focus.
There's go pills. There's things like that. I wouldn't say drugs, but there are certain. There's certain supplements that have been known to be taken.
So it's very funny. Our Andrew knows this friend, our former Intel friend. I'll never forget this. And we were doing a book tour. This is right. Remember the COVID thing, Andrew? We did like the book tour with MAGA Doctrine. And he was like, "Hey, take this pill. I always take it whenever I land in country, and it really helps me focus." Remember, I took it. I did not sleep for 2 days. I remember I literally could not sleep. I was like, "What is going on?" Then I remember taking this pill. Jack, that stuff's insane.
So, Charlie, let me ask you this,
it's unbelievable.
So after you took the go pills, you were up for 2 days, but then what happened after? Did you crash right after those 2 days?
Like wrecked.
For like a whole day, you were just like out, right?
I was done. Yes.
That's right. That's basically how they're designed. I have no idea what the science is on this, but it's like you're up for 2 days. You're just up, and you're not like crazy wired. It's not like drinking an energy drink or something like that, or like pre-workout where you're just like, oh, and I want to go. You're just awake.
Different. No. That's exactly right. You're wired but not tired. Wired but not tired.
Afterwards, you pay the price.
So like coffee and caffeine reduce your body's production of adenosine, where this does something totally different. This is like weird kind of focus. Anyway, it's very hard to explain.
Didn't they give that to like the Nazi soldiers? They were all on.
Oh no, they were like, what were the Nazis on? They were on all sorts.
I think they had some sort of, they had either amphetamines or even maybe meth. Like I can't remember the exact specifics. But
they were up for like 3 days straight.
Yeah. They would take stimulants for big operations. I'm reading now. In addition to the bed and toilet, they also have a microwave, and the plane is heavily automated, so one guy can go.
Imagine if like the operation got screwed up because of a hot pocket.
Like he bites into it and it's too hot, and
no, the microwave like blows up. Mr. President, we were not able to bomb Fordo tonight. Why? Well, sir, somebody decided to keep the hot pocket in the microwave for too long.
He made him yank on the controls, and they went into a tailspin and crashed. There's only 21 of these bombers in existence. That's a little surprising to me. I thought there'd be more, but
they're $2 billion a piece. I don't think any other country has a similar type technology. Does Russia do? I think they have something, but
other countries are getting more stealth aircraft. I don't know if they have stealth strategic bombers. You get stealth fighters for sure. I don't know if anyone has a big bomber like we do.
It is a pretty incredible aircraft. It's something. And they used it in Serbia, Yugoslavia, I think, back in the 90s.
And it's a lot of our UFO sightings from the 70s and 80s are apparently from when we were testing it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's funny. Email us, freedom@charliekirk.com. The wingspan is 172 feet. 172 feet, just to put that in perspective. It's incredible. Okay, we're going to wrap this in a second, but do we have more super chats we have to read?
Let's see. Ryan, send them to me if we've got them.
I'm going to read this tweet that I wrote because I liked it. I tweeted it.
30 seconds. Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm supposed to take sleep.
To this matter. So while this was done and the announcement was made, right afterwards, the president are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So while this was done and the announcement was made, right afterwards, the president announced that around 10 o'clock tonight, he'll be going live. The moment he does, we will be showing it with you and we'll be reacting to it together. I will be giving an address to the nation at 10 p.m. at the White House regarding a very successful military operation in Iran. This is an historic moment for the United States of America, Israel, and the world. Iran must now agree to end this war thank you. While this is going on, we have some clips, disturbing clips that you must see on what this looked like, that some locals in Esfahan were reacting to it. Rob, if you can pull up some of these clips here, there are some, I mean, right now, X must have the type of traffic, maybe it's the most traffic day on X, definitely the last 2 hours because of this announcement being dropped. Rob, if you got any of the clips to show so the audience can kind of see what's going on there, go ahead and turn them on if you're ready, Rob.
I do, Pat. I think we should go. I believe the president is speaking to the nation
Right.
now, so I'm going to pull him up.
Let's just go to it first. Let's go to it first.
Let's see what he said.
Rob, if you've switched it, we can't see it. Okay, here we go.
Spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very interesting.
Wow,
That has got to be the shortest press conference he's ever done. That has got to be the shortest announcement he's ever done. When they took out al-Baghdadi, that was roughly a 45-minute speech that he gave. This was less than 4 minutes, less than 2 minutes. Came out, gave the speech. Rob, if we have some, by the way, if you notice who was there, you had Hegseth, you had Rubio, and you have JD right there standing next to him after the speech was given. Rob, if you have some of the clips, let's show some of the clips of what happened, what these explosions look like, and how I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I know you guys do as well. Rob, which one is this?
It's a mushroom cloud from Iran right now.
What is this, Rob? Rob, do you know where that is?
That's at Fordo. That's one of the
Fordo. Okay, got it.
Dude.
Rob, do you have the one with Esfahan where the lady is in the back reacting to it?
I can grab that. Hang on once.
I texted it to you. I think it's in the group text that we have. Tom, what are your thoughts with this? Again, I have a lot of thoughts I want to share, but what is your thoughts on this? What's going on?
Well, my initial thoughts are last week, countries and companies have been selling weapons to each other for 200 years, since the invention of the cannon, and some other countries said, hey, how much for your cannon? And I don't mind it if Israel buys our weapons and conducts an action that they think is important. I also believe that Iran can't have nuclear weapons. And I didn't want boots in the ground. I didn't even want a pilot in the air. I really wanted us to be supporting the mission for Iran not to have nuclear weapons and not be able there. And now we've done it. And I was hoping this was a surgical strike, single strike, in, out, get it done. But even in the president's short words just now, he said there are other targets, many other targets. And that sounds like a lot more engagement than I really hope to see. I hope that this is over, that incredible video we just saw, I hope that is a precision strike, an authentic video, because that certainly looks like something just disintegrated. I hope what disintegrated was Iran's nuclear capabilities. But I'm a little processing what I just heard, Pat. It's like there are many other targets. It's like I don't want to be in, but I'm glad to help and sell whatever I have to in terms of weapons, provide, advise, and all that.
Yeah, so here's a couple things, Tom, when you're talking about that, because, you know, one of the angles is they said 2 weeks. So you say 2 weeks, allowing Iran to think they have 2 weeks to react, and then boom, you hit them. Catch them off guard. The entire world is like, what? If you want to talk about a surprise,
Why wouldn't you want the element of surprise? Why would you give them the fucking 2 weeks?
Can we run a poll and see what people say? Support what the president just did? Don't support what the president just did. Okay? Just put it right there. Very simple on the attacks. I'm curious. Because we can say whatever we want. I mean, you guys, you know, the Republican Party right now, when you're looking at, you know, different people to talk to. And by the way, X is not really America. X is just so often we look at X, we're like the entire America's on X. It's not. X is the most actively involved, interested Americans on these topics are on X. But if you watch it, a lot of people are not happy about this. There was a very deep conversation that happened with Ted Cruz versus Tucker Carlson. One,
I don't know why people are upset.
Let's take them out. The other one saying we don't want to get into another war. So if you give credit to anything with Trump's administration, there's a lot of questions. These are the questions I'd like to address today, guys, in the next 45 minutes. I don't want to go longer than that. The questions I got is the following. One, is this the next Afghanistan? And how different is this from Afghanistan? Because that's the biggest worry a lot of people have. Is this going to be another one of those $3 trillion? We can talk about that. Two, if this does happen, will Iran be retaliating to what just happened right now with the attacks that took place? Three, Netanyahu just came out and gave a talk, you know, with the message that he gave. What is his reaction? He knew he didn't have the weapons to be able to get these things.
Clearly.
As much as we hear about Israel's Air Force and as much power as people give to Israel, this does happen. Guess what? Israel needed America to get the job done. Right now, we want to talk about that. For the longest time, we've been told Israel has the best Air Force. If you did, why couldn't you get this job done? You needed America to get this job done. So it still validates that America has the greatest military in the world. Four is now, let's just say Iran does happen. A part of this is to American people. The other part is to the Iranian people. To the American people, what's about to happen to Iran? To the Iranian people, what are you going to do with the small little finite opportunity, timeline that you have to create the revolution that you want in Iran? I'm specifically talking to the Iranians that live in Iran. What are you going to do? Who's your replacement? Is it Reza Pahlavi? We have a clip about how Reza Pahlavi, when he was asked just yesterday, his answer is still vanilla. It's still a vanilla answer that he's given. He cannot give a backbone answer already. Yes, no. The Iranian people that want to see something happening here, he still has given a vanilla answer. I don't understand this guy. Get out the way or say you're going to do it. Stop playing with people in Iran that are wanting some kind of a decision to be made. So those are the things I want to talk about. But let me go to the people that are, what's the split on the poll right now, Rob? I'm just curious. I don't know what it's going to be. I want to know how many people voted, and I want to know what they're saying, Rob. What are you noticing with the poll of who's for it and who's against it? Sounds about right. So 9,000 of you have voted. 60% of you guys support what he did. 40% of you guys don't support it. It actually makes sense to me. It seems like the 40% right now is louder than the 60%. So let me explain to what I mean by that. The 40% is much more louder. So a lot of people are thinking it's 80% that don't want it, but quite frankly, 60% are saying yes with all this stuff that is taking place. One credit to Trump's camp. One credit to Trump's camp I want to give. I can't give a lot, but I'll just give you one credit here. This is not easy. To go through watching the political party, people who got you elected, now saying impeach him. This is not what I voted for. This is not what I wanted. And you still having the thick skin to say, we're going to get the job done. And on top of that, nobody leaked anything the last 4 or 5 days, which means he has taken the circle of everybody having access. And whether it's you or Susie Wiles, one by one, they're saying, no, you're not in this circle. You're in this circle. You're in this circle, but you're not in this circle. He's out. They're out. This person's out. Tulsi Gabbard is wrong based on what he said just yesterday or 2 days ago. I'm willing to bet they got rid of all the people that they did not want to know this decision was being made or a threat was made, a business type of threat. I swear to God, if I find that anything was leaked and it was because of you, you're the first person I'm firing publicly. Very simple. They stayed united and then they shocked the world. They shocked Iran. They shocked everybody. Nobody knew except for the people that were involved. That part, you got to give credit to them. It's very hard to do. It's not an easy thing to do, to get the right people that are unified on an issue like this. But I'm going to pause because I called yesterday. I've been on the phones all day. We're not in Florida, obviously, but I've been on the phones all day. Whether it's with Iranians, those who are in the higher ups, in the Iranian
He's feeding his kid right now, so we're waiting.
The top journalist who has tens of millions of people that watch him every day in Iran. He is the guy in Iran that everybody watches to see what the conditions are there, or it's people that are involved geopolitically. I've been speaking to a lot of different people the last 24, 48 hours to see what's going to be happening with a lot of questions that maybe many of you guys may be asking, but I'll pause. Brandon, I'll go to you. What are you thinking with all these things? Because you've had certain positions, and you've been able to say, as a guy that you got your bachelor's degree in national security.
Yeah, I could imagine. It ain't for me, that's for sure.
This is all you study. This is all you look at. You read every book, everything on there. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so we literally couldn't be any more involved in the thing than we are right now. You know, for anybody who's saying, like, oh, will the U.S. get involved? Will we not get involved? We're 100%.
Nah, you're going to have to pay me.
To do what they wanted to do, we needed U.S. involvement because, I mean, I don't know how much you guys know about these B-52
It's not bad.
Bombers, these planes specifically, but they're insane. So these things cost like $2 billion to build them. They're the most expensive plane in the world, and they're the only ones that could carry these bunker buster bombs. So these things weigh like 30,000 pounds, and these are the only planes in the world that can carry them. So there's only 30 of these bombs that exist in the world, and then there's only 20 of these planes that exist in the world. So today it started leaking out that these planes were moving from Missouri, from the Air Force Base in Missouri to Guam. And then in that span of time, they went from Guam to Iran. Three to six of those planes dropped about 2 bombs on each of these nuclear bases in Iran. So you needed 2 of them because these bombs only penetrated 60 meters down into the ground, and the average nuclear site was like 80 to 90 meters in the ground. So it was unclear if they were going to be able to do it, but it seems like they hit it.
Brandon, but this is the question. This is the question, because we talked about this, me and you.
Right.
Did they fully penetrate all the way down 90 meters that they needed to do, or did they just penetrate 60 meters? Do we have that report yet? Have that been released to us that we know about this?
No, I don't see that being confirmed anywhere. Trump said successful mission, but I don't see it being reported anywhere that it's definitely a success, that they definitely took it out. But it's believed that they hit each of them twice, and that's why there are 3 to 6 planes in it, because each plane could carry up to 2 of these bombs. And then, so if there were 3 to 6 planes, 3 sites hit, then 2 bombs could have hit each site. So 2 bombs would be enough. 1 bomb probably not. But I think it's like, Trump's. A lot of people say that Trump modeled the art of the deal after the art of war, and the quote from the art of war says, "Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt." So that's one thing that I do like about Trump when he does warfare. His plans are smooth and fast, and you don't see them coming. So if we're going to be in war, then I'd like it to happen that way rather than a long, drawn-out Iraq type of way.
Yeah, I mean, as you're looking at this here, there is one rock with the lady. This is not the one. It's another one. That's from Esfahan that I sent you earlier. I don't know if you have it or not. If you don't have it, it's in our notes. I know this is last minute, so I don't expect you to have it right off the bat. The team was so instrumental of getting some of this stuff to be done. And by the way, there's riots right now going on in New York. Did you see that right there, Rob? I don't know if you've seen that one. And if you can do me a favor and show this, people are taking advantage of this situation. Please verify this before you show it. But to me, if you notice what Trump said in his speech, something you don't hear often for him to say, you could tell as a leader, you know what I felt? You could tell he's grappling with this decision. You could tell, because if you go watch the 2-minute speech he just gave that we reacted to, watch the last 30 seconds. Rob, if you can go back, I don't know if that's out there for us to just watch the last 30 seconds. Look how he finishes the last 30 seconds and what he says. It's not the typical way Trump finishes talks. Look who he thanked. Why did he say that? Go to the last 30 seconds. Go back a little bit more. Go back. Okay, play from right there if you could. Watch this.
Out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight.
Watch his body
Even
language.
close. There's never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago.
Look what he
Tomorrow,
says.
General Kane, Secretary of Defense,
at 8 a.m.
We'll have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God.
Listen to his voice.
I want to just say, we love you, God, and we love our
Go back 5 seconds,
Yes, sir.
Rob. I've never heard his voice crack like that. Listen, everybody listen.
We'll have a
Don't
press
move and
conference.
just listen. Go ahead, Rob.
We'll have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say, we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's exactly how a leader needs to react when you make a decision like this. You know why? Let me tell you why. When you make a decision like that, you're grappling with it. You know you don't have 100% support. You know this could potentially break the party that you want. You know this is going to be complicated. You don't know for a fact if this is going to work out or not. Nobody does. This could be a big risk. Vinny, I'm going to come to you in a second. This could be a big risk. However, his voice is cracking. How often does the president ask for God's help at the end? Not often. Mm-hmm. Why? Because the moment you go to God is because the only thing you have left is what? Faith at this point. You're sitting there saying, I think we make the right decision, God. I think we did the right thing. We need you from here on. We've never heard the president talk like this, and that's exactly, whether you're happy with him or not, whether you're part of the camp that wants him to be impeached and on X and all this stuff, whether you're part of the camp that's like, I'm never Trumper because I didn't vote for war. Whoever you are, I don't care whether you can't stand this guy. Your name is Keith Olbermann. I don't care who you are. That's exactly how a president needs to react when they're going through a decision like this. And you know he's having the talks. He knows the criticism is coming. There's a reason why he only went 2 or 3 minutes. He doesn't want to take any questions. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine how much sleep they've been getting? I'm willing to bet the last 4 nights. These guys haven't slept. None of those guys have slept the last 4 nights. It's been nonstop. Hey, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Keeping it low. So, Vinny, your thoughts on this? What are you thinking with this?
Well, I mean, yeah, that was a very, very interesting. I've never heard, like, once in a while I've heard Trump bring up God, but that moment, that pause, you know, God bless the Middle East, God bless Israel, and then God bless America. When he tweeted his tweet, he said, "We have completed our successful attack." The moment I saw "we," Pat, I was like, we, America, let me look it up. According to the international law, specifically the UN Charter, using military force against another sovereign state, especially preemptively, constitutes an act of aggression, which is a legal basis for war. That "we," everybody, means we are at war, okay? And me and Pat, we spoke about this before, and you're like, you know, what's on your mind? What are you thinking of? I'm not one of those people, guys. I voted for Trump. I've been with Trump since 2016, when it wasn't cool, when it wasn't the dancing, when it was just, I knew he loved America. I knew the mission. I knew what he wanted to do with all the Hillary Clinton, with everything. Then he was in. We had Russia collusion, no new wars. Biden and them came in. By the way, gave Iran and unfroze $6 billion. So if anybody wants to know why we're in the situation that we're in, besides Israel, besides everything, the last administration not only opened the border, which I'm going to get into right now, they unleashed $6 billion to freaking Iran, a country that says death to America. Okay, and the only thing I fear right now, Pat, the one thing that really hit me and I got like a real nauseous feeling is those 20 million people that are in here, that are in this country right now. Which one of them is going to do something and blow something up? What Tom Homan said, Pat, about doing something horrible that's going to be worse than 9/11. When it happens, who is going to be behind it? Because I guarantee you, what made me say, let's go and bomb the shit out of Iraq, even though it was a lie, was 9/11. That made us go, you know what? Let's go and kill everybody, okay? So now that 60-40 split, Pat, mind you, I still support Trump no matter what. I'm not happy. You know, everybody's always like, oh, you guys, you're jumping ship. No, I can be disappointed in the decision because as a veteran, I don't want war. But this situation, if something does freaking happen, who is it going to be? Who's going to be behind it? And who are they going to blame? Because the only way to get that 40% to join that 60 is something bad happens here and they point Iran. Then that 40% is going to join the 60%. and then it's all over. Another Iraq, another Afghanistan.
Yeah. So look, a very valid concern.
I don't understand why people are upset about this, to be honest with you. It makes zero sense to me. If you're upset about this, you obviously don't know how the world's ran. I'll tell you that much.
When we were talking about when Israel attacks Iran, Iran didn't attack Israel first in this case. They used proxies. So this was Israel's way of saying, hey, you're using proxies, you know, allegedly, we're going to come after you. Great. They made the attack. And then Iran acted very big. It's not like Khamenei helped. He's like, we're going to give you the kind of a attack that they will remember forever to come. If you're going to talk like that and you don't attack, you're showing how weak you are. If you're so strong, why don't you make your attack? Now, if they, right now, you hear rumors about how worried they are. You know, there was a message the other day that Ahmadinejad, the former president, was shot and killed. He wasn't. His team reached out to us and told us that that did not happen. So we knew about the fact that that didn't happen. Khamenei, now President Trump says in a tweet, I don't know if you guys saw this one, we know exactly where you are. You're an easy target. We talked about this with Nancy Mace on a previous podcast. Now, the gamble why President Trump's voice cracked for half a second, his voice never cracks. The only time I've ever seen President Trump be nervous is the first time he had the debate with Hillary Clinton. For the first 10 minutes, he was breathing hard. Just go watch that debate, first one. After that, he's been locked in. And the second term that he's been in, I've never seen him be this resolved about the decisions he's making. The way he's handling the media is the best, maybe the best we've ever seen in the history of presidents handling it. Matter of fact, I would say it's probably the best. You would put Reagan up there because Reagan kind of used humor in a way to kind of bring them down. But as active as Trump is, so what makes me kind of process this one here is the fact that as we're going through this next phase, the gamble is Iran now going to retaliate? Will they? What happens if they do? Do you think this is President Trump's way of saying, if you do retaliate, you don't want to know what we do to you? I'm willing to bet that message has been sent. And by the way, tweet came out from the president. I don't know if you guys saw this or not from the president. It was from a news site, if you guys haven't seen this, that said, Rob, you can find this here, that our administration has told Iran that the only thing we don't want you to have is a nuclear weapon. We're not wanting a regime change. That was just released 45 minutes ago, okay? Rob, you can pull this up, that breaking news that, you know, U.S.'s team is telling Iran, we don't want a regime change. We only want what? For you to not have nuclear weapons. Now, if I'm Iran, do I believe the president?
I'm glad people are saying it right. Iran, not fucking Iran.
I don't believe him. So now, here's the next problem. Who is the candidate? Who is going to come? Who's going to replace? And we'll get to that here in a minute. But I want to kind of talk to one thing that a lot of people are worried about, saying the fact that this may be Afghanistan.
Let's see what we're looking like real quick. Let's see.
A live look right now at the port city of Haifa, Israel, as concern
Iran's nuclear enrichment program to re-enter negotiations in the hope of attacks on pulling out directly, put down their arms, and Israel pressing its tactical advantage for the time being, but is seeming that it's asking, and we'll see what happens if the U.S. gets dragged into this, to carry out further attacks on Iran to degrade its military and nuclear infrastructure.
30 seconds left here. Your study has seen you interact with generations of Iranians. To those Iranians here in L.A.,
the world is really waiting for word from the American president. But why strike now? Well, first, do you support
first of all, I didn't say we should strike.
Do you support strikes?
I support what Israel is doing 100%.
Do you support strikes by the United States? If President Trump
I don't think we need to get directly involved, because I think we've been very directly involved in the region for 25 years. I think what Americans have spoken very clearly about is we don't want more
to retaliate against our forces. We're also hearing from more Democrats.
Let's see what they're talking about.
Like former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, also current Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. This is their tack. They're taking their response to some of these here. I want to put Schumer up for you. Andrew Desiderio posting it there from Punchbowl. Schumer says this: President Trump must provide the American people and Congress clear answers on the actions taken tonight and their implications for the safety of Americans. No president should be allowed to unilaterally march this nation into something as consequential as war with erratic threats and no strategy. He says confronting Iran's ruthless campaign of terror, nuclear ambitions, and regional aggression demands strength, resolve, and strategic clarity. The danger of wider, longer, and more devastating war has now dramatically increased. He says we must enforce the War Powers Act, and I'm urging Leader Thune to put it on the Senate floor immediately. I'm voting for it, and implore all senators on both sides of the aisle to vote for it. So it looks like there's some type of effort afoot there, at least among Democratic senators led by Schumer, to somewhat retroactively vote on a War Powers resolution in the Senate to kind of retroactively authorize this. You see there, former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi saying tonight the president ignored authorize this. You see there, former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi saying tonight the president.
Yeah, Wolf, I've been talking to a number of people, including people who have been briefed on what happened in the Situation Room. Just a couple of things to mention. One, he was surrounded by a lot of his top advisors and highest-ranking officials. We know his chief of staff, Susie Wiles, was in the Situation room with him when this happened, as well as the the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth,
Gee, she can't
Marco
speak.
Rubio, the Secretary of State, the Vice President, J.D. Vance, the Chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Kane, all of them there when he made this very incredible and important decision, as you noted. Now, a couple of things I want to point to that he said here, because this goes to the heart of what they are hoping to achieve tonight, in addition to doing what President Trump has said that they wanted to do, which was take out the nuclear sites. That, of course, will remain to be seen what exactly is left. They also say, these administration officials, that they are hoping that this strike is a one-time strike and that it brings Iran to the table to have some kind of deal. And you heard this in what President Trump was saying, essentially attacking Iran over and over again, but then saying Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. There is a belief that this strike will, one, have obliterated their nuclear program, but two, if that is true, bring them to the table for some kind of negotiation. The other part of this that I want to point out here is the fact that President Trump thanked Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, said that we work together as a team. It was just 2 weeks ago when these first strikes and missile strikes were launched from Israel to Iran that the United States was backing away from Netanyahu, from any kind of connection to what had happened. We saw that statement from the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, right after those strikes took place, saying that this was a unilateral decision, that Israel informed the United States that they were going to do this, and then they made this decision to move forward. The United States had nothing to do with it. Clearly here we have moved on to a different page, as you see him, again, saying this teamwork with Benjamin Netanyahu. The other part of this that has been very interesting is what we've heard from President Trump since. There is a deep concern in the White House and the administration and among U.S. officials that Iran will retaliate. And you've seen President Trump taking to Truth Social, posting after he gave his speech, saying any retaliation by Iran against the United States of America will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight. The thing to keep in mind here is that for days, the United States has been preparing for potential strikes from Iran on U.S. military assets or U.S. assets in the region. We know they have moved planes, they have moved ships, they have brought in extra blood, all in preparation for a potential strike from Iran. There is still a serious concern that Iran will strike back on a U.S. asset. So you can hear that here and see it from his post. But keeping an eye on now, what is the next step for this White House? Obviously, we're watching to see if Iran does, in fact, retaliate. But what is the White House's plan to move forward? They continue to stress the idea that they believe that these strikes helped the diplomatic process in the sense that Iran will now come to the table to negotiate some kind of deal. But that, of course, remains to be seen at this hour.
You couldn't help but notice, Kristen, that the vice president was standing behind the president. The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, was there. The Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. They were all standing behind the president. I guess that's designed to underscore that this was a unanimous decision by the top national security officials over in the Trump administration.
That's right. Well, and it's really interesting to see that because that's not generally what you see when you see presidents take to this East Room to deliver this kind of address. When President Obama delivered an address in the exact same spot announcing that the United States had killed Osama bin Laden, he did it by himself. You usually see these kind of addresses. We've seen President Trump, who tends to do them actually in the Oval Office. He believes he's said privately he thinks that's more powerful by himself. But as you noted, he clearly brought these three people behind him, Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, and Vice President J.D. Vance. He also thanked, the only other official that he thanked was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Kane, in that speech. Brought them with him to show a sign of unity, but also giving us an understanding of something. When these decisions have been made in past administrations, they are usually made by a lot more larger group that includes career officials in terms of briefing. This is a very small, insular group of Trump loyalists who were in this room tonight with the president when he made this decision.
All right, Kristen Holmes over at the White House for us. Thanks very, very much. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has reacted very positively to the U.S. strikes, thoroughly, without any doubt, fully endorsing President Trump's decision and the U.S. action. Listen to this.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. It has done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you. God bless America. God bless Israel. And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
I want to bring in CNN's Anderson Cooper, who's been reporting for us from Tel Aviv. Anderson, given what's going on, given the history, given the threats that Iran has launched not only against Israel, but against some 40,000 U.S. troops in the region, I suspect in Israel, where you are now in Tel Aviv, there's a bit of nervousness. Are the Iranians going to retaliate by going after various more targets in Israel?
It's interesting, Wolf. Obviously, this occurred in the overnight hours here in Israel. It was about just before 3 a.m. In Tel Aviv that this news broke. So a lot of Israelis, dawn is just now breaking here. A lot of Israelis are waking up and hearing this news now for the first time. It's now been several hours since then. It's been more than 3 hours. There have not been any air raid sirens going off since then. It's Sunday morning here. Saturday, there were no air raid sirens as well. Friday, there were 2, and thankfully no fatalities on that day. It's unclear how much of that is just how much the Iranian missile capabilities have been reduced. The IDF has said that they have already destroyed half the launchers for missiles that would have been fired from Iran. So I think a lot of Israelis are going to be surprised and heartened by the news when they wake up and hear it this morning. This operation by Israel is very popular here in Israel, and there's certainly a lot of people here who wanted President Trump to make this decision to go after and try to destroy these facilities. Remains to be seen the extent of the damage. It seems like Brett McGurk on our air talked to a senior official involved in this. They seem pleased with the level of destruction that they were able to achieve. It's likely, though, today we may learn more, but certainly U.S. officials will learn more as they have more overflights and are able to actually really assess the damage fully. Hopefully we'll hear some more information about that. The question remains, of course, what happens next? Will Iran try to respond by firing missiles here to Israel. Will they respond through proxy forces? Though those proxy forces have been, as you well know, Wolf, very weakened. Hezbollah, Hamas as well, the change of regime in Syria. Israel has already eliminated a lot of the air defenses that Syria had, which allowed for these flights, made these flights and the continued flights by Israel a little bit easier over Iranian airspace. And Israel still has control over the Iranian airspace, more or less. So it remains to be seen what levers the Iran regime decides to try to pull. They still have also the Houthis who have made some pronouncements already. That may occur today. We don't know the timetable for that. So there's a lot of moving pieces to this, but this is certainly something that's going to be received with a lot of excitement and appreciation here in Israel.
Yeah, the Israelis made it clear, officially and unofficially, for days and days and days, that they were really hoping the U.S. would use those B-2 bombers and those 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs to destroy Iran's nuclear enrichment program at Natanz, at Fordo, Isfahan, and there are capabilities of doing more. And they acknowledge, the Israelis, correct me if I'm wrong, that the Israeli military did not have that kind of direct capability. If they were going to go and try to destroy those kinds of capabilities that the Iranians had in nuclear enrichment, they would have to do a ground invasion, which would cost a lot of potentially Israeli military lives. Was that the assessment you were getting all this time as well?
Yeah, I think they tried to be kind of opaque about their capabilities. You know, you would when you would ask Israeli officials this, they would say, "Well, look, you know, we've thought through these operations. We're not dependent on the U.S. There's things we can do." They never really went into details. You know, there was an operation that they conducted against a facility in Syria in the not too distant past, using commandos. A very different kind of operation, but there was some suggestion that they did have some capabilities, but certainly they did not have these kind of munitions, which the U.S. is the only power that has them, and also the only planes that could actually carry bombs that are 30,000 pounds, and also multiple ones that we now understand have been used. So certainly there's a lot of relief, I think, by people here that the United States, that President Trump made this decision. Remains to be seen what the follow-on actions are going to be by Iran. But this regime, and I think here it's widely acknowledged, this regime in Iran is weakened in a way that none of us, Wolf, you've been reporting on this region for a long, long time, none of us have seen for a very, very long time. The proxy forces that they do have access to are greatly weakened. And again, remains to be seen how much power they can project and where they choose to strike, if that's what they choose to do.
Yeah, and President Trump, as we all heard, minced no words at all. He called it a spectacular military success for the U.S. in this struggle against Iran's nuclear program. Anderson, we'll stay in very close touch with you. Thanks again for your excellent reporting. We appreciate it very, very much. I want to go right now to CNN's security correspondent, Kylie Atwood, who's in Washington for us. Kylie, update our viewers what you're hearing.
Well, listen, one significant thing that we have learned tonight is that the United States made sure that Iran knew after these strikes through back-channel communications that this was a contained strike against Iran's nuclear facilities, and there were no further strikes that were planned. That's significant because what it demonstrates is that the administration really does not want Iran to retaliate here. They want them to come back to the table diplomatically. We heard from President Trump in his remarks saying that for Iran, this is going to be peace or tragedy. But he also went on to say that there are many targets left. So holding on to the possibility that there could be further U.S. strikes against Iran if they don't come back to the table to continue those diplomatic discussions that had halted because they had not had any success and led to what we are now seeing, this military conflict between the U.S. and Iran, and between Iran and Israel. One thing I do want to note, Wolf, is that as we are speaking, there is a drawdown of U.S. diplomatic personnel at the U.S. diplomatic missions in Iraq, in Baghdad and in Erbil. This is something that actually started to happen 10 days ago, even before Israel started carrying out its strikes in Iran, because U.S. officials were seeing that that was a possibility. They wanted to start to draw down non-essential personnel from those missions. Now there is an even further drawdown of those personnel. It's not a complete drawdown, I'm told by sources familiar with this process. We have to watch and see what happens here, not just at the U.S. diplomatic missions, of course, in Iraq, which shares a border with Iran, but also in the U.S. diplomatic missions, the U.S. embassies in the entire region. And there's also many Americans who are in the region and obviously concerned tonight that this could turn into a wider conflict. We don't know if that will be the case, but we'll have to watch and see if the United States makes any moves to provide any evacuations for Americans who are in the region. We know that that effort is underway when it comes to Americans who are in Israel. We don't know exactly how many Americans have left, but that was a process that actually started today, according to the ambassador there, Mike Huckabee.
And I thought it was significant, Kylie, and I'm anxious to get your thoughts, that in his speech, in his address to the nation, and as I said, indeed to the world, he was making it clear that the United States and Israel, the current government in Israel, the Trump administration, they are both on the same page. He was praising what Israel has been doing and promising to work closely together with Israel down the road. I thought that was significant. What was your reaction?
It's very clear from President Trump's remarks tonight that this was lockstep, the United States working with Israel. We know that Israel was given a heads up before these strikes occurred tonight on Iran's nuclear sites, those 3 nuclear sites inside Iran. We know that after these strikes occurred, according to senior administration officials, President Trump spoke on the phone with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And we should note that it is a drastic shift in terms of the response that we saw from the administration.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. it has done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you. God bless America. God bless Israel. And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
Three Americans were killed about a year ago. We had to fight back. We had to strike back, and they declared a ceasefire. So it's missiles, militias, and then their acts of terrorism and hostage taking. That's their go-to. And Barack said something right. There might be hardliners in the regime saying we should continue down that path. I suspect there's going to be other voices in Iran, particularly President Pezeshkian, who's a more moderate guy, saying, you know what, guys, maybe we have not been on the best strategic course here. So they're going to have a debate within their system, what's left of it right now, about how to proceed. But that was a very tough message from the president. Basically, this can end here. There can be peace or tragedy for Iran. That's what he said. And I suspect Iran will have to do something. But the kind of full-scale response that some might be predicting, I think it's going to be difficult for Iran to muster that. And what's so unprecedented here is that Israel controls the skies over Iran. So whatever Iran tries, we can counter significantly.
Let me ask you about that,
my immediate
because
message.
The IDF said a couple days ago they've eliminated half of the launchers for missiles. I don't know if that's the ballistic missiles, the long-range missiles. I don't know if that includes also the shorter-range missiles, which you're talking about, which is what they could use against U.S. forces in the region. I guess my question is, those shorter-range missiles, are they easier to launch? Do they require the kind of transportation, and in some cases, these longer-range missiles or these ballistic missiles require, because Israel has effectively destroyed the trucks that carry missiles to the launchers. These shorter-range missiles, is that something that Israel controlling the air can target and continue to target?
Yes, Anderson, and I suspect that's been going on the past 8 days. You know, let me say something about this, and I want to be careful because I was involved in this not long ago. But this war plan against Iran and the strike that was done tonight had a number of elements to it. One of the elements was you have to eliminate the air defense the best you can, and you want to eliminate missile capabilities to degrade Iran's ability to respond. I think Israel's been doing a lot of that work over the last 8 days, and I expect as we learn more, the level of coordination between the Israeli military and ours on targets and everything, because we've been working this problem for years, has been quite high. So I don't know exactly what Iran's capabilities are. I know they are certainly far less than they were 9 days ago, but they still have them. And, you know, we have good missile defenses, and we've moved a lot of personnel, as we talked earlier. But again, that's the go-to for Iran. It's missiles, militias, and terrorism. And this is the Iran we've been dealing with for some time. But they have a big choice to make, because the president was very clear. This can be it, or we already have the targets picked for a more destructive response. So this is that escalation ladder that you're always on at something like this. And in military parlance, sometimes talk about turns. One side takes a turn, another takes a turn. This is a big turn from the United States of America. Iran has to choose. Is it now going to make another turn? And if they do, I suspect the United States military is prepared with a fairly significant counter. But let's hope that can be contained and you don't start going up that ladder. And that's where this diplomacy we mentioned earlier in the night, Anderson, And I think it's borne out from what you and I discussed a couple hours ago. Immediate message was sent to Iran saying, this is about the nuclear facility.